I mean, I'd prefer all the way, but I think it's the far left one. I can't tell. It'll be, no, that's not it. It's not the far left one for you? Okay. It'll be fine. Thanks, guys, for making it in tonight. I know I always think when I look outside and it's beautiful, I think, oh, I've got to compete with the weather because I know where I'd like to be right now on my deck. No, is it? Huh. Yeah. 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 All right. So just before we get started here, this is being live recorded. So you can turn around and look at the camera and smile if you want sometimes. But no, the real reason I'm telling you this is so you can share this from our social media with your friends and family. If they couldn't make it, if you know another woman in your life that needs help, please share it. Or something, tag them in it or whatever so that they can find it. Might have one more woman coming in, perhaps, Gabby, but I'm okay with getting started. Okay. So, welcome. I don't see any familiar, well, I see two familiar faces. So if I've met any of you before, I'm sorry, it must have been a while ago. Thank you for coming. This is Gilead Healing Center. For any of you who have never been here before, I want to just give you a little background. This building is currently exactly what it was created for. It's very unique and very special to us. We have a lot of services in here you may not know about, so let's run that down for just a minute. We have nutritional care, designed clinical nutrition. We have chiropractic care in this building. We have massage therapy in this building. We have Christian counseling in this building. We have a prayer team that comes. We also have now a medical doctor, a DO, that is practicing on site. And so we're pretty excited about that. And if you need a medical doctor, you're not happy with your medical doctor, I believe his video, he just did a class a week or so ago, and that might be on our social media also. So you could listen to that, get an idea of what he's all about. And he also specializes in regenerative medicine. So that's, an opportunity to not maybe have to have surgery on, say, a joint like a knee or hip or whatever. So he knows all of that's his specialty, but that's it in a nutshell. So it's a pretty special place. There's not many places like this to handle the whole body, mind, spirit, soul, body, right? All of it we handle here, and we think that's pretty amazing. So tonight we're talking about women's health, and it's super important. I find the older I get and the more women I help, that I'm just learning right along with them and myself, right? Like what my body has needed in the last decade, what changes I've had to make. And it's a lot of fun for me to pass that along to my patients and along to you all tonight. So we can start, Gabby, with the first slide here. I want to start with what really truly is health, because people have a different version. We've all heard of people probably who we thought were healthy, and then next thing you know, they drop dead, right? So what is health truly? Is it an absence of taking medications? Well, I'm healthy, I don't take any medications. I've heard that before. I'm healthy, I eat really clean. I'm healthy, I exercise every day. I'm healthy, I haven't been to the doctor in decades, right? We've all heard those things, haven't we? Yeah. Well, in our office, we believe in eating well, moving well, and thinking well is how you can truly be healthy. And you can't, just like a triangle, you can't just take one corner and not affect the other two corners. You have to have a whole. So you have to be moving well, thinking well, and eating well. And that's what we try to impress upon our patients. We give them the design-specific clinical nutrition that they need. We clean up their diets so that they're nourishing themselves really well. And then we always, always, always encourage them to think positively, because what you think about brings about. Did you know that? Your body is a lot of water, right? I don't know. So some people say 70% water, some people say 80, but we have a lot of water, don't we? Fluids in the body. And do you know that that fluid can be structured to serve us well or to make us ill? That to me is fascinating. There is a YouTube video, and I'm sorry I don't know the doctor's name, but he did a study on water and structuring water. So he had a class of people, and they had water, and one group of people spoke positively to the water, and the other group of people spoke negatively to the water. And what they discovered is when they looked at that water under the microscope, the water that was spoken to positively was perfect crystals, like you would imagine like a snowflake would look like underneath a microscope, and the other water was scattered. It was not. Fascinating to me. So the way we speak to ourselves is very important too. We can't, have anybody ever been around a negative Nancy? I know none of you are negative Nancys in here, but yeah, I grew up with a negative Nancy. God rest her soul. My mother was a negative Nancy. She absolutely was. And now looking back on it, I'm like, wow, no wonder she was so sick most of her life. Everything was just complain. And when you complain, you get nothing more to be complaining about, right? Yeah. So that's the important first thing I wanted to get across to you. Okay, next slide. Here we are, ladies. This is me. That's why I put this up here. This is me. I have to really remind myself to delegate and really focus on self-care, because we're always doing, right? And we've got 15 irons in the fire. Most of my ladies come to me fatigued. They come to me stressed out. They've got cortisol belly. They can't lose their weight. They don't know what to do. They've tried it all, and they don't know what to do. So tonight's talk is really for those ladies too that have tried it all, and they still feel crummy. They still are miserable. They're not enjoying their best life. So this is a problem. We have to first put a stop to this, because this is a downward spiral for most women. A lot of women are nurturers, right? By nature, we're nurturers, and we want to help everybody. We want to do everything for everybody, and we just have to take care of ourselves first, right? And like I said, it's something that I personally work on every single day. When am I going to get my next massage? When am I going to sit in my sauna? When am I going to take a detox bath? When am I going to get my walk in every day? Well, those things that I know are good for me and help me manage all the things stressful that I have to manage. And I have to just be intentional, or I can very easily get out of it and then think, man, when was the last time I had a massage? I don't know, right? Months. Hi, welcome. Next slide. So do you read those there and see, raise your hand if any of that applies to you at this current moment? Yeah? That's it? Okay, that's not too bad. These are just some of the main things that women come to me and are concerned about. Hot flashes are a big deal for women. Most women feel it's all their hormones, and it could be. But we find oftentimes it's just a very clogged down, clogged funnel of how we get the stuff out, the bad stuff, right? We're really mucky in the liver gallbladder area. Nobody poops good. Like literally, I do a lot of poop work because nobody poops good and they don't realize it. And I ask them, hey, are you pooping good? Yep. You going every day? Yep. a little bit or a lot. I mean, I get sometimes a little bit personal, but people will tell me, yeah, I poop good. And when I really ask, they'll be like, well, every other day or, twice a week sometimes. And I'd be like, okay, this is good. We're something we have to work on, right? Uterine fibroids, I feel, are more prominent now than when I first started in my practice. They cause a tremendous amount of problems for women, from bleeding to pain, just tremendous amounts of bleeding for some of these women. And some of them have to go in and get their uterine scraped and get the fibroids removed, and then they just seem to come right back. It's pretty rough. And so what we do in clinical practice is we're going to find out what the root cause to that is, because there's always a root cause to dis-ease, always. You just have to find the way to tap into the body, and that's what we do. We do clinical testing, that's applied kinesiology, and we tap into the body, and we're able to find and identify those root causes, and then provide the body the exact right nutritional supplement that it needs to get the job done, to handle it once and for all. I had a patient just today who came to me on her cycle. She's got fibroids, and she feels miserable. She has 2 cycles a month. She has 2 cycles a month, and she bleeds heavily. And she came to me today. She didn't want to come, but she came, and I was glad that she came, because sometimes when we're going through something, that's the best time to be tested, because I can then, as the practitioner, see exactly what the body is going through at that moment in time. So I commended her for coming in, pulling herself in here today to get her health check. Decreased sex drive is a huge problem for women also, I feel. It's one of the main things they mark on they don't like to talk about it necessarily, but it's a big problem. And here's what I think. I think my women don't eat enough meat, especially red meat. We don't eat enough butter. We don't eat enough eggs. Do you know what you need to make your sex hormones? You already learned something. I'm going to ask you that as we go along probably too. You need dietary cholesterol. That's in the meat, the butter, and the eggs, right? All the things they told us were bad for us when I was growing up, right? My mom got the butter out, in came the margarine, in came I can't believe it's not butter. So if we don't eat enough dietary cholesterol, and we're in a stressful situation, guess what's going to go up in our lab work? Our cholesterol. It's going to go up. It has to go up. That's normal physiology, okay? Because guess what you have to do in a situation that's stressful? You have to make cortisol. That's your stress hormone. And you need cholesterol to make that. And if you're in fight or flight, like I was for 2.5 years, and I was doing all the things that I knew to take care of myself, but my mother was ill, and for 2.5 years caring for her and in and out of the hospital and trying to help at home, at the house, and all the things, I gained 20 pounds. Mind you, I didn't change my eating. I was working out. Everything else was the same, but slowly over 2.5 years, I gained 20 pounds. So I had to biohack. I had to learn, what am I not doing enough of? I'm not eating enough red meat. I'm not eating enough eggs. I'm not eating enough butter or healthy fat. I wasn't walking enough. Okay? So there's things you have to do to biohack when you get, I'm 52. I'll give you those other 2. I was going to say 50. I'm like, that's not truthful. You're 52. But you have to, especially at my age and older, you have to understand how to biohack. You have to get your body to trust you again. Sometimes our body's just like, I don't trust her. I'm not letting go of that fat. She needs it. She needs it to make all the cortisol because she's in fight or flight, right? She needs it, so I'm not letting go of it. So I had to learn how to biohack my body and get it to trust me again. And then all the good things I was doing for it started to work. Does that make sense? So if you take nothing from tonight, you eat more red meat, more eggs, and more butter. Even if that's all you eat, right? There's a lot of high nutrition in those 3 things, okay? We don't need all of the kales of the world and all the spinaches. My ladies, you ladies love your salads and you love your smoothies, okay? I'm going to try and tell you, just get out of that funk. It's just a fad. It's a funk. And go back to foundational eating, which is red meat, eggs, and butter. Now, you can have other proteins, but I'm saying most of my ladies, they like their chicken breast, their chicken this and their chicken that. And I would tell you that you will not be as satisfied with chicken as you will with red meat. Okay? Let's see if there's anything else on there. Infertility is a big deal these days. Our infertility rates are through the roof. We're really in a population decline. I don't know if you guys know this, but because our infertility rates are through the roof and our miscarriage rates are through the roof, our stillbirth rates are through the roof, and then you have the women and men who don't get married, they don't want to have, or they get married, they don't want to have babies, right? So we're kind of in a population decline. So, and then I want to tell you one story about hot flashes, because this was pretty profound for me. And this is how I discovered that perhaps just opening up a drainage funnel for somebody, not really handling don't always just have to handle the endocrine system or the hormone system. All sometimes I have to do is just get the body to drain its toxins better. I had 2 patients now. One came today, one a few weeks ago. Visit number 2. All I did was open their drainage funnel. Hot flashes are gone. Right? I'm like, ding, 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 ding. That's amazing. Now, that's not every case, certainly. Some cases it has to do with the endocrine system. Some cases, though, I find it's more liver related. And you get the congestion out of the liver, and they stop waking up in the middle of the night too, which is nice, right? Women that hot flash all night long, and they're waking up and ripping the covers off, right? Yeah. So 8 more red meat, eggs, and butter. Okay, next slide. Yes.
What do you mean by draining their...
That's a good question. Yeah, let's talk about that. So we have a drainage funnel in our body, and it starts with the cells and the tissues out here, and those things dump their toxins into the lymphatic system. And then the lymphatic system, which is a fluid system in the body that only moves when we move, it gets very stagnant when we don't move. That dumps into the liver gallbladder area, and then that goes to the bowel and the kidney to eliminate. So that's your drainage funnel, how you get the bad stuff out. That's a really good question. 3 out of every 10 women today between the ages of 35 and 60 develop breast cancer. Yeah. We do a really good job as women holding toxic fluid in our breast tissue, especially estrogen. We're going to talk about that in a second. But we love to hold estrogen, particularly xenoestrogen or synthetic estrogen, in our breast tissue because it's everywhere in our environment. So next slide, Gabby. Sorry, my clicker's not working. Okay, let's talk about this. It is not normal to wet your pants, ladies. I know the commercial tells you it does, it's normal. I know you know a lot of people who have that problem if they secretly tell you. But it's not normal. It's common. Yes, it's common, but it's not normal. So I want you to get that through your head right now. And if this is you, there are solutions to this. Now, depending on your age and how long you've had the problem, it may take you a while to resolve it, but I believe it's not an end all to be all, right? There's usually something stressing your bladder or kidneys, or maybe you're just deficient in collagen, and so that little sphincter that holds everything in before you go to the bathroom is weak, right? Or all of the above, but it's not normal. I made a video once upon a time, a few years back, just about that topic, because I saw the commercial. I was at home getting ready to go to the office, and I saw the commercial where it says, it's normal at your age to have, incontinence and all like, and I'm yelling at the TV, no, it's not, right? And so then I get in my car and I drive to the office, and in front of the office, I get on my phone and I make a video. It's like, ladies, understand this is not normal. It's very common, but it's not normal. In fact, I had a patient just recently who's a fairly new patient who says to me on visit 2 that her incontinence is better. On visit 2. Again, all I did was open her drainage funnel, right? It's not 100%, but it's better. Hallelujah, I say, because I didn't even know, honestly, that she had the problem. She didn't tell me until visit 2. I do that with nutritional supplements. I find out where the roadblocks are, and I get the body to do the work with the nutritional supplements, okay? So usually the roadblocks are in the liver, gallbladder, or the bowel. Remember, nobody poops good, or they think they do, but they really don't, and so that's what I do. And then if I have to, I get the stagnant lymphatic tissue to start dumping toxins, and we go from there, right? Okay, next slide. You don't have to pee your pants. Okay. Estrogenic, xenoestrogenic chemicals. Okay. These are man-made chemicals. They're in food. They're in water now. They're on your receipts. They're in food containers, soup cans, you name it. It's everywhere. One common one is called bisphenol A. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of BPA, but now they've got BPA-free this, and that's why, because we caught on to the fact that that's very toxic, especially to our endocrine system, which is our system of hormones. Ladies, we'll talk about that a little closer in a minute. But these xenoestrogens mimic our real estrogen by interacting with our binding spots, right? And so then that screws up our own production of estrogen, gets things all messed up. And then again, if we can't detoxify that stuff, if the liver can't get rid of it, then we store it right in the breast tissue, okay? Next slide, Gabby. So that's what I just said. The body will store it in your fat cells, right? Particularly your breast tissue, because that's fat, right? It's fatty tissue. But also we can store it in this cortisol belly that we get when we're in our 50s, right? So you just got to understand that you have to be a good detoxer anymore to live healthily on planet Earth. We have to. We don't have a choice. You know, my grandmother died when she was 97, and she never once thought about having to detox her body, right? But she ate off the land for the majority of her life. It wasn't until the latter decade probably of her life did she ever eat fast food, and that probably wasn't very often. She didn't have to really focus on it like we do today, unfortunately, right? Because the quality of our food has gone down. We're on so many medications now. Americans are the sickest people on the planet, and we use the most medications. We're screaming for help, and we don't know where to get help, right? We're screaming for help. Literally, people are having to wait months for studies to be done to find out we don't know what's wrong with you. Right? Do you guys, any of you know somebody who's been through every test imaginable and the doctor doesn't know? They just don't know. We get a lot of those people because, God willing, somebody knows us that knows them, and they say, hey, you've tried everything else. Why not? What do you have to lose, right? And so we really need to be good drainers and good detoxers in order to win this game. All right, next slide, Gabby. Well, your body detoxes every single day. It tries to anyway. It's just because we're too deficient in certain nutrients and over toxic, you know, we have this huge toxic burden that the liver gets overwhelmed. And I don't think our livers really can do their job as well as we need them to anymore. If you think about it, ladies, what are we putting on our skin every day? We're putting products on our skin. They may or may not be clean products. You know, some of my patients know that they need to put clean products on their skin, but most women don't know that. Most women don't know that the products they're putting on their skin is messing with their endocrine system, you know? especially their thyroid, their adrenals. Most women don't know that the products in the stores are endocrine disruptors. And so they go to their doctor, their endocrinologist, and see their thyroid numbers get all wacky, and they get on the Synthroid because that's all they know to do. They don't realize that if they just start detoxing well and find somebody who can help them, then perhaps they could get their thyroid to detoxify, because there's always something there that doesn't belong, and then work better for them. And if they clean up their skincare and hair care, then perhaps they can stop harming their thyroid, right? Here's some foods that contain these chemicals. So soy is high in plant estrogen. I don't know if you're aware of that. I don't encourage anybody to eat soy, especially conventional soy, because it's highly, highly sprayed with pesticide called Roundup. It's genetically modified in this country, so if it's not organic, for sure, I wouldn't touch it. And it's in everything. I mean, if you look at the labels, it's everywhere. So you really have to be careful about that. And so that's a big deal. So lots of processed foods have soy in them. So, understand that. And beer, beverages like beer, sugar for sure, processed sugar. Okay, and the additives and preservatives, of course, we don't want any of that stuff in our food. Why do we have that in our food? Does anybody know? Yeah, they took out the fat. They had to put something in, right? We went to the whole fat-free craze, and we wouldn't eat it if it didn't taste good. If you take fat out of something, it's not going to taste good, so they had to put in the chemicals. Plus, they want it to last much longer. I saw a video just yesterday, I believe it was, and this woman she had bought a loaf of bread from the store, just regular white bread, and she kept it in the package and tied, and she squished it all the way down, and it came all the way back up. It came all the way back up. And so then she took 2 slices out. She's got a slice in each hand. And so she goes like this, and she squeezes the bread and opens her hand up, and it was like foam or something. I'm like, this can't be real. But what if it's real? That's scary, right? What kind of bread is that? What ingredient did they have to add to make it spongy like that? Like, oh, that's scary. Anyway. Okay, next slide. Here we go. Fragrances, detergents. You see this laundry list, and what's not on here that you need to know is your receipts. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but if not, receipts. The heat-treated paper that we all touch however many times a day or week that we go shopping and get the gas station, if you get a receipt. So I say if you don't need a receipt, don't get a receipt, or just have them throw it in the bag for you and then don't touch it. That's what I do. I just don't touch it. I throw it away with the bag. That's what I do. Okay, unless I absolutely need the receipt. But I try really hard not to touch it. And if I do, I try to wash my hands immediately after. Because again, anything you put on your skin gets absorbed. And those are just little places where we don't think about it. And we can definitely be messing with our endocrine system. I had a patient tell me this week, she was just here about an hour ago, actually, a little over an hour ago. Today was visit 2. One of her main complaints was fatigue. And that, like I said earlier, ladies, you guys get so fatigued and you're barely getting by. And when I asked them, like, how do you make it through your day, right? Because what they described to me is just like exhausting just thinking about it. How do you make it through your day? And they are like, I just do, right? I've been there before, but I don't want to live like that, right? I don't want to live like that. And so she came in today to visit 2, and I said, so how are you doing? How's the fatigue? Oh, it's better, she said. Really? Again, all I did was open up her drainage funnel. She said, I'm sleeping better too. Oh, really? That's great. Top 2 complaints that she had for me was fatigue and lack of sleep. Already, I'm so excited for her. I can't wait. The sky's the limit for her, I think. So this is important. You guys understand that your body can heal itself. You got to have the right building blocks in order for it to do the work. You're designed to do the work. Everybody knows this, right? We cut our finger, we put a Band-Aid on, and it's fine, it'll heal. We know the body can heal. Yet we don't trust it, maybe, or we haven't heard it enough. So say it to yourself every day. I'm grateful my body can heal. And then you've decided to take an action step towards that healing. And what does that look like? Well, that could look like a good nutrition program here at Gilead Healing Center. That's what that could look like. Okay, so next slide. What is the endocrine system? Like I said earlier, it's a system of glands or hormone I can't even say the word. I won't say it because I can't say it today. They're glands that secrete hormones, okay? So this is important because, again, what do we need to make our hormones? What's in that we need? Cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, yes. Did you know back prior to, I think somebody told me today, was it prior to 1990, that the normal cholesterol level was 300? What? Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I knew it was. I didn't know the time frame. I'm not sure about the time frame, like prior to 1990. But I do know that we have the same, if not more, heart disease today than we ever have. And they want our cholesterol at what, 150? Our total cholesterol? We have a huge incidence of Alzheimer's, dementia, right? Did you know the brain is half fat and half cholesterol? Your brain. Imagine that. Anybody here eat coconut oil every day? Yeah, that's a good healthy fat. Good for your brain. Your brain likes it. Good. Okay. So the hormones are responsible for many, many bodily functions, including cortisol, which we all get stuck in that fight or flight, ladies, our sex hormones, all of it, okay? So we always need to, this is a medical term, homeostasis. The body wants to be in good working order, but we're just far too deficient and toxic. That is just on the struggle bus, okay? And what we find in clinical practice is we find all the organs that are not happy on an initial visit, and then we go find the priority. And we do that because what we've discovered is if we help the priority organ out, let's say gallbladder, for instance, and we find out what's going on in the gallbladder that doesn't belong, perhaps there's a toxic metal in there or toxic chemical, or the gallbladder is sensitive to a certain food that the person is eating a lot of, then what happens is when we help the organ out, the priority organ, the other organs can just go back to doing their own thing. It's kind of like a robbing Peter to pay Paul scenario in the body. And so then over time, if not handled properly, then those organs show up as not being happy, right? So like your adrenal glands, yes, can give up nutrition and or energy to help out a gallbladder if it needs to, in order for the body to try to create some sort of homeostasis or better state of being, okay? So what we do is we put a halt to that. We feed the priority organ what it needs, and then the other organs oftentimes just go back to doing their own thing. And they may become a priority down the road because they've also been a bit depleted, but at least they don't have to give up anything. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Next slide, Britt. Okay, so here's the organs of the endocrine system. So the hypothalamus, that's like your master gland, your pineal gland, your pituitary gland. All of these talk together. They talk to each other and allow the body to process properly. The thyroid, the parathyroids, your thymus gland, your adrenals for sure, your pancreas for women, ovaries for men, testes. Okay. Next slide. So your gland has to release the correct amount of hormones, and then you must have strong blood supply to transport and carry that throughout the body. And then you must have enough receptors that are available, right? Available, and then your body has to respond appropriately, okay? So this is where going back to that xenoestrogen, really getting the body to get rid of that so that your own estrogen can do its job, okay? All right, next slide. So how do we do that? We get the anti-inflammatory diet going. What do you think is involved in an anti-inflammatory diet? Yeah, what foods? Turmeric, yeah. How about red meat, eggs, and butter? I was giving you a chance. Okay, yeah. Getting some exercise, taking omega-3 fatty acids, very important for all things health. Avoiding exposure, where I just told you how you get exposed. So you're going to start looking for that now, yeah? Okay. Improve bowel movements, for sure. We talked about that. Infrared sauna, that is something also I don't think I mentioned in the beginning, but we do have infrared sauna you can utilize here at Gilead Healing Center. Very, very good for you. Get in there and sweat for a good 20 minutes. A lot of good. Use your skin. It's a detox organ. We just don't use it enough, right? It's super easy. Just get in there and sweat, okay? Green drinks with, some chlorella maybe can help bind toxins and get them out. Oil pulling. Does anybody do oil pulling? Yeah. That's great for oral health, right? I use coconut oil. I use an ozonated coconut oil for my oil pulling, and I just do it in the morning. Your dental hygienist will love you. Absolutely love you. That is a good question. I'm going to explain that to you because it's important. It's a good, easy technique to use for better oral health and better checkups at the dentist office, But I just literally take a scoop of coconut oil. You could do that, or I have my ozonated oil also, and you just swish it through your teeth gently for a good 20 minutes, and then spit it in the trash, and then brush your teeth. Okay? And it's just going to pull toxins out of your gum tissue and your teeth. Super good. My hygienist loves it when I come see her because it's not a whole lot of work, I mean, back in the day, I remember dreading it. But ever since I started oil pulling and caring for myself better, it's a much better experience, ladies. So just in case you wanted to know. Intermittent fasting. Used to be I would fast in the mornings and then just have lunch and dinner. What I've discovered since my biohacking of my body is that my body does better if I fast in the evening. So I eat a good-sized breakfast of what? What do I eat? I do. You're right, I do. And I might even put some guac on top of that and some salsa, if I'm being honest, right? Yum. And then I have a lunch that oftentimes is red meat, eggs, and butter. Sometimes I switch it up and I'll have ground lamb because that's also very satisfying. Or I'll have a steak or a burger with an egg on top. I'm going to make sure I get at least 30 grams of protein in those 2 meals. But I tend to like more like 40, and that's good. And then I don't eat again until the next morning. You see, most of us ladies, we go to bed too late, or we go to bed with a blood sugar spike because we're eating too late. Okay? If you're eating dinner mostly after 6 o'clock in the evening, that's just too late, especially if you go to bed 9 o'clock-ish, okay? So if that helps you, you could try a biohack. I also move after every meal. I do squats after every meal, or I'll go for a walk, but most of the time I'm doing squats. I do at least 40, but most of the time 60. Why do I do that? I do that, it's a biohack. I'm training my body to use the glucose in my meal for fuel instead of storing it as fat, right? I'm giving it enough dietary fat that it feels comfortable burning fat, and then I'm gonna tell it to use that for fuel. That makes sense? Yeah? Okay. So there you go. That's another biohack. If you guys are holding on to a little bit too much around your middle, that can help you. Walking 30 minutes a day, especially in the morning sun and the evening sun, another biohack. Very therapeutic. Let your eyes gaze at the sun, around the sun. You don't have to look straight at it, but around the sun. We have photoreceptors on our body that especially in our eyes, that need the sun. The sun is a nutrient. All right? Don't let them tell you that the sun is dangerous. It can be dangerous for some people, but why? Our ancestors were out working in the sun all day long. They didn't pile on the sunscreen. They were more nutrient sound. They weren't as deficient as we are. That's why we don't tolerate the sun, is because we're too deficient. And now we feel like we've got to lather everything on. So be sure to get out at least in the morning sun or evening sun and do a 30-minute walk every day. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes all at once, but it can be. You can do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, and get the sun on your skin and your eyes. So don't wear sunglasses. Just let the sun hit your eyes, okay? And drinking plenty of water. Ladies, we just don't. You should drink at least 90 ounces of water a day. Don't exceed 120, but drink at least 90 ounces of water a day. And if you want to do even better, put some good salt in your water. We have good pink salt here at the office. I alternate from that salt into also a Celtic sea salt, a good quality Celtic sea salt, and I always have it in my water. Why? Because I hydrate better that way. There's minerals in that water that allow me to hydrate better in my cells. So I don't know if you guys ever look at your fingers and you see that they look in a little pruny. You guys ever do that? Like you can see, like you push your nail in there and you can see the nail line for a long time. That's probably you're not hydrating as well as you should be. So try to put some salt in your water. That's kind of how I judge it. Like if I got enough salt water, if I'm hydrating well enough. Okay. Good. Any questions so far? Table salt, Morton's table salt, yes, ma'am. That can, because it doesn't have any minerals in it. But the mineral salt does not do that. I drink a lot of it in my water, but you can start with just a pinch and then see if you like a little bit more and like it a little bit salty. Because see that those minerals, they drive that fluid into your cells. Nope. Mm-hmm. What type of butter? Well, you just want to get a good organic butter. If you find a farmer that makes butter, that's Amish sometimes make and sell butter. If you got to buy it from the store, there's Kerrygold butter, the Irish butter. I like Kerrygold at times. I will buy Mooville butter if I'm near there. Horrocks sells Mooville butter. That's a local creamery in Nashville, like a dairy farm in Nashville. So I try to support local and get their butter. Okay. All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The what? Beef tallow? Yeah. I mean, that's what our ancestors used to cook with. Beef tallow, lard, all the things. Yeah. All right. Next slide. Like I said earlier, the menopause thing, people get a little bit nervous about it. They blame all of their stuff on it, right? And yes, some women do really suffer through menopause. We're not meant to suffer through menopause, just like we're not meant to suffer through PMS, right? I had terrible, terrible periods when I was a kid. I would miss at least one day of school. I would be on Motrin, heating pads, and hot baths all day long. Miserable, just miserable. If I happened to make it to school, I was sure to come home sick. And so I thought that was normal, right? I had that problem. Some of my friends had that problem. It just, But what I found out once I started working on my health journey was that it didn't have to be that way. It's common, but just like the incontinence, it's not normal. It's just a sign of a body out of balance. My body was out of balance. I had a thyroid that wasn't working very well, and I had a scar that wasn't healed properly. And, several months into my journey, month after month, my cycle just got better and better and better until it would sneak up on me, right? I used to be able to feel Aunt Flo coming from a mile away, right? And then boom, she hits me like a Mack truck, right? And now I find myself having to pay a lot of attention to when she's coming, right? That's how it should be. We're not meant to suffer, but far too many of us do, right? And so menopause is the same. I think I'm going through menopause. I don't really know because I don't experience anything too much, but I just know the cycles got spottier and spottier, and then they just went away. And so I'm grateful for that. I didn't have to have all the issues that women come to me for, and so that's great. But I feel like women are going into menopause a bit sooner than ever before, just like girls are starting their cycles earlier and earlier. And that probably does have to do with these estrogenic chemicals that we're exposed to. And even those of us who know, like me, I mean, I know where they're at, but I probably am still exposed to them on some level. That's why I always am taking a binder of some sort, always. Because binders are vitally important to get the toxins out. Otherwise, they can land in your tissues, in your organs, and then they can cause problems. And that's why we're always looking for that kind of stuff when we're testing. And so it's really important to me, for me personally and for my children. My children are always on a binder of some sort because they're out and about and they're living their lives, and they're exposed to different things. When they're away from me, they're not always eating like I want them to because they're teenagers, right? And so, binders and drainers are important. We need to bind and drain toxins. All right. Next slide. These are the 3 types of estrogen that we make. Estradiol is the most common type. And that's when you're younger, and you have the estriol, and that's mainly during pregnancy. And then you have the estrone, which is the one that you're left with during menopause. Okay. So naturally, do we really have to keep pumping in the other 2 types of estrogen when we're in menopause? I don't think so, right? I think this is how it's supposed to be. I don't know. I find my women have low testosterone as well, So that's an issue. That gets everything out of balance as well. I'll wait for you, Cindy. All right, next slide. Serotonin, your feel-good neurotransmitters. It's found mainly in the brain and the bowel. And estradiol increases your serotonin. So if you're out of balance, your serotonin levels can drop. Well, that stinks. That sounds like depression to me, right? That sounds like sadness, unhappiness. Your serotonin is your feel-good neurotransmitter. So what this says to me is we need to keep better care for our brain and our bowel and our blood, okay? So that these things don't get out of balance. Most women, they come to me with headaches, fatigue. This is all what I've heard. Low sex drive, of course, we talked about that. Insomnia, hot flashes, all of it, right? So again, it can be an imbalance of hormones, but what did I tell you earlier? A lot of cases, I just get the drainage funnel open, get the organs working a little bit better, and some of these symptoms, they just go away. And then if they don't, then I know I have to pay a lot more attention to the gut, and I have to pay a lot more attention to the endocrine system. Okay? Okay, next slide. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of a repeat, but I think we need to, the human body needs to hear the same thing over and over 7 times before they really get it. Did you know that? Something like 7 times. We need to hear the same message over and over again. So you're going to eat real food. Mostly what? Eggs, butter. Do you know that's so satisfying that you're not going to find yourself needing to snack? Like you won't want the sugary stuff anymore. If you give yourself enough time eating that way, and it can sound boring, but you have to train your thoughts on why are you eating? Are you eating to be entertained? Are you eating because you're stressed? because it's a habit, because you were taught that by your mother, why are you eating? In my age, 52, I'm eating to nourish myself. I'm not eating to be fancy, okay? I'm eating to nourish myself. How am I doing that? Red meat, eggs, and butter. Sometimes lamb, sometimes salmon. Sometimes I'll throw some asparagus in there, but I try to keep the vegetables, the low oxalate vegetables, because my body, I didn't realize until I biohacked it, is a bit sensitive to oxalates, which are chemicals found in plants. In some plants are higher than others, like sweet potatoes. I used to make a lot of sweet potatoes. I don't do that anymore. High in oxalate. I used to eat a lot of almonds and use almond flour. I don't do that anymore. High in oxalate. Spinach and kale, high in oxalate. So my ladies who are having all their spinach kale salads all the time, are you doing okay with your oxalates, or is oxalate part of your problem? Who knows? You don't know until you remove it from your diet, and then you can kind of judge from there. Okay? You just have to stop. You just have to look up high oxalate vegetables and stop eating them for a period of time. Well, most women don't feel anything, right? I didn't feel anything, except I gained weight, which I blamed on the stress, but could it have been also the oxalates in my food? Because I was eating a lot of high oxalate foods. Could be. And then once I stopped and did the biohacking and changed my diet, got that stuff out, then I was able to, all my good deeds were working again, right? So, okay, you're going to exercise. I showed you what to do, right? You move after your meals. You move at the very least 30 minutes a day, okay? You can do other stuff, but I'm saying those are the very least things you should do. Intermittent fasting, again, it's fine if you want to fast in the morning. I just personally got better results if I fast in the evening, okay? It's fine. But that having a shorter window of eating time and a longer window of fasting gets you into a bit of autophagy before you put food back in the mouth. Autophagy is where the body just kind of cleans itself up. Stands for, I think the definition, like body eat thyself or something. But your body's going to scavenge up old cells and old fat cells, visceral fat, and all the things. I put in there Jumpstart with the 21-day purification program because we do offer that, and you don't necessarily have to be a patient in our office to take advantage of that. And people will lose weight. They'll balance out their cholesterol numbers, their blood sugar numbers, their blood pressure numbers, oftentimes just by doing a good cleanse for 21 days with us. And so that's something to keep in mind. We sell the kits at both of our offices, and I think a lot of people's problems, if they just get to be good detoxers, can resolve a lot of things. I mean, I've seen people get off of their blood sugar medicine and their blood pressure medicine just from doing a 21-day detox. So, something to keep in mind. Let's talk a little bit, next slide, Gabby. Let's talk a little bit more about why do we say intermittent fasting. You know, people have heard of it. Everybody hears about it. But it helps to heal your gut, especially if you're eating red meat, eggs, and butter and less processed food, because it's the processed foods that tear up your gut. They're full of Roundup, and glyphosate is in the Roundup. The glyphosate is a known carcinogen, and it also destroys your collagen. Completely destroys your collagen. You're going to start breaking down faster if you let a lot of Roundup in your diet and your life, okay? So keep that in mind. Intermittent fasting downregulates inflammation. So many people walking around very inflamed today. And inflammation is the precursor to cancer, just so you know. And so, I mean, there's more to it, but people who have high inflammation levels are more prone to cancer. Intermittent fasting helps hormone sensitivity, like your leptin and your ghrelin. Those are your markers, your signalers. The ghrelin tells you, you're hungry or you're full, leptin, that kind of thing. And you can be sensitive to leptin also. And so those are dysregulations in your hormones. increase your human growth hormone, which is always a good thing, and you become a fat burner. Like I said, dude, you get in and your body's going to start cleaning up things, especially your visceral fat, because that's your dangerous fat around your organs. Your body knows that, and it'll clean that up first. Okay? Any questions about that? We're not going to, the next slide you can skip, Gabby. So, yeah, this one. So on your way in, you got a sugar quiz, and you got 147 reasons why sugar is harming you. That's from the book called Lick the Sugar Habit. It's a great informational book. So what I want you to do either while you're here is just quickly take the quiz, because I think most people think our logic tells us that we don't eat a lot of sugar. You know, our logic lies to us a bit. I eat pretty healthy, right? And so take the sugar quiz, and then on the 147 reasons why sugar is harming you, I want you to just take a few minutes and go through that. Maybe put a highlighter in your hand. And when you run across something that you deal with your health, I want you to highlight it. I want you to, in other words, find yourself on that list, okay? Find yourself on that list. Years ago, I would have highlighted asthma, because I suffered terribly with asthma and allergies as a kid. Missed out on a lot of things because I couldn't breathe. Never could be around cats. So my friends that had cats, I couldn't spend the night at their house, no way, because I wouldn't be able to tolerate it. Got all the shots, all the allergy tests, and all the shots. It never got better until I started my health journey. And then I cleaned my body out. I opened up my drainage funnel, especially in my liver, and my asthma symptoms went away. My allergy symptoms went away. I was told that was a lifelong sentence, right? So much so that I became a respiratory therapist before I did this work, because I had empathy for people that couldn't breathe. I knew what it was like, so that's what I decided to do. And I wasn't trained that you could ever heal from that. Some people used to say, well, you'll grow out of it, right? I've heard that before, but I don't know. You guys know anybody with asthma? Yeah, me too. All right, ladies. So if you're still eating sugar, you have to understand that you have nutritional deficiencies, because sugar, hold on. Let's talk about that just a second. Gabby, can you go just to the next slide real quick? I just want to share this little trick of the trade with you too, because I know you're going to go home and you're going to start eating red meat, eggs, and butter more, and that's great. But you're probably still going to crave some sugar, right? Because if you're letting sugar in your life right now, then you're going to probably start craving it. And so this is what I want you to do if you crave sugar. I want you to drink more water, because sometimes when you crave sugar, you're just dehydrated, and maybe put a little salt in it, okay? If that doesn't work, I want you to eat some protein, particularly red meat, but any protein will do, okay? If that doesn't work, I want you to have some healthy fat, like avocado, maybe a spoonful of butter, or coconut oil, olive oil, okay? I want you to have some healthy fat. And if that doesn't work, I want you to go for a walk, okay? And that should work. If nothing else, if you walk in nature, it'll take your mind off of it, right? I try to walk down by the river, and the geese are down there right now, and they're about to have babies. They're not very nice. I have to walk way around them, because they start hissing at me like crazy, man. I envision myself like, yeah, this geese chasing after me. But all right, did you guys write that down? Write it down. I'll give you a minute to write it down. This is important, yeah. That's a really good question. If you can get farmer's eggs, that's the best option right now, and probably the cheapest, honestly. We have farmers markets everywhere, so please, please, please invest in your farmers. Go and buy their meat and their eggs and their butter if they have it. That's where you're going to get the best quality. But outside of that, just do the best you can. The cheapest carton of eggs is probably better than McDonald's, right? If I'm being honest. They're not the healthiest eggs, but they're still eggs, yeah. Yes, it's still sugar though, right? It's not processed, so that's good, but it's still sugar, right?
Quick question, is
Yeah.
there a better way to cook eggs that is better for you, or just any?
I would not cook it in a seed oil. Cook them in butter.
But I mean, scrambled, hard-boiled.
Nope, that doesn't matter because you're still getting the same nutritional value. You're still getting the same protein, the same healthy fat in the yolk and the fat soluble nutrients in the yolk. Okay. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is how this boils down. Every time we let the junk food in, every single time without exception, we're creating nutritional deficiencies. Sugar pulls calcium from your bones. It displaces it. So if you want strong, healthy bones, and I know we all do, you have to keep that in mind. You have to understand that, okay? Every time we eat sugar or processed foods, we have nutritional deficiencies. And if we're deficient in certain nutrients, then it's safe to say that our organs are not happy, right? Does that make sense? We want happy organs. And we get this perpetual cycle of putting in the raw materials that are not good for us, right? The foods that are not good for us, and we get the deficiencies, and then we get the organs that are not functioning. And that's, guess what? Over time, we become symptomatic. And then the symptoms get stronger, and they come more often, right? And we have this downward spiral that we just seem to not be able to get ourselves out of. And then we end up in this specialist office, and this specialist office, and then we still have no answers, and they want to put us on psych meds. That's a real thing. I've had far too many women come to me, and they know there's something wrong. Nothing's showing up on the lab test. Nothing's showing up on the scans, and the doctor just wants to put them on psych meds as if it's all in their head. They call it psychosocial, maybe. That blows my mind, right? So they come to me and I find the root cause and we get things working better so that they can actually heal. Okay. And the next slide is basically the same, only with sugar at the top because it's a big deal. You gotta know. You gotta know. And then we'll skip that next slide and go to the very last one. There we go. So everybody wants their health to be optimized, right? Our goal is overall health, true health, eating well, moving well, thinking well. That's true health in our opinion. You got to keep doing the things, right? People ask me sometimes, well, when is this program over? Your program's not over. If you're alive, your program's not over. Why? Because same reason I keep brushing my teeth, right? I go to the dentist, get a good checkup. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop brushing my teeth. I'm just going to keep doing the thing that got me well in the first place, the thing that got me to not have asthma anymore, the thing that got me to not have painful periods anymore, the thing that got me to not have allergies anymore. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing it till the day the good Lord takes me home. That's what I'm going to do. But we all have a choice, right? You guys can walk out of here. If you're not currently on a nutrition program, you can certainly walk out of here and you can just move on to the next thing, right? But my goal is to teach you some things that you didn't know, give you some nuggets, things you can use today, starting today, to start helping improve your health and the health of your families, because we're mama bears. Anybody here does not have children? Okay. Well, a lot of us are mama bears. And even if your kids are grown and out of your home, you can set an example for them still, right? Like I try to set an example for my children so that hopefully when they're out of my home, they'll continue to do these foundational things. But we're mama bears, and it trickles down to baby bears. That's why we love. I love to take care of mamas that have children, because I know I'm going to start a pattern or a domino effect of health in that family, because mama's doing the cooking and she's making the grocery list and all the things, right? She's buying the red meat, eggs, and butter, like I tell her to. Okay. So this is important. So what we also, we use whole food supplements and homeopathics, and we use some herbs and some nutraceuticals, but it's all safe and effective. Now, I hate saying that now. I don't like saying that anymore. My government ruined that for me. But it is safe, right? It's safe, and we take people pre-born all the way up to any age, really. But it's a joyful obligation to care for our community is really what it boils down to. So you do have a choice. You can certainly leave. I just don't want you to 5 years down the road from tonight have a diagnosis that you didn't want to get, right? Shoulda, coulda, wouldas are terrible. We've all been there, right? If I only knew, if I only took that step, if I only bought that book, if I only, right? Because we really have 3 outcomes in life. You and me, 3 outcomes. The first outcome is we're going to grow older, but we're going to die suddenly of maybe heart attack, or we're going to have cancer and die. Those are the top 2 causes of death in this country. And we're going to leave our family wondering what they could have done differently, what we could have done differently, right? Like the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Number 2 is you're going to grow older, maybe well into your 70s or 80s, and you're going to lose your independence though, right? Like you're not going to be independent any longer because maybe you need to wear a diaper. Maybe you need to be placed in a adult foster care home or a nursing home, assisted living. Maybe not. You will remember your family when they come to see you, right? I had an aunt and an uncle, great aunt and uncle, both died of Alzheimer's. Husband and wife, both of them. And they didn't know their daughter in their latter years. And that to me is really sad. And number 3, we're going to grow older. We're going to check off our bucket list. We're going to make our health a priority. And we're going to do all the things and have all the experiences and create lots of memories with our family. And we're going to be independent, right? Doesn't that sound great? We're going to be independent, not a burden to our family, until we sit on our front porch and rocking chair and close our eyes and don't wake up, right? Like that's how I envision I want to leave this world. I want to just, having lived an amazing life, and just go to sleep. Don't wake up. Yeah? What number are you guys wanting to be? 1, 2, or 3? Raise your hand. 3? 3? Okay, there we go. I'd wonder about you if you said 1 or 2. Nobody has yet, so. All right, well, thank you for coming. I just want to share with you, if you're not currently a patient with us, what that looks like. So it costs a lot of money to see naturopathic doctors in this town around here, sometimes upwards of $1,500 just to walk in the door. So what we do is applied kinesiology. We have clinical testing that we do to build nutrition programs for people specifically for their needs. And we also do what's called heart rate variability study, which is a study of the autonomic nervous system function, which is big words for how physiologically healthy are you and how well are you regulating? How well are you adapting to your environment, okay? We also do body composition analysis, and that's really important. It's just a tracking tool, but it's really important for women that want to lose weight because they get to see on their scale specifically their body mass, like their fat percentage and how well they're hydrating, because we talk about hydration a lot. And so that's fun for them to kind of see some wins with that. And then we do, like I said, the clinical testing, and that's on visit 1, all of that. Now, there is a second visit that comes in the initial consult, and that's called report of findings. And that's where we sit down and report all of our clinical findings, right? We report that. I don't think people get that very often, right? Get a good understanding of what a health journey with us looks like, what the fee schedule is, and all of that. So that's on visit 2. And then usually we set aside some time right after that for people to get started, because people want to get started right away. Okay. So all that to say that tonight we have a discount because we care and we want you to go from awareness into action. Okay. So just $75 tonight. It's from $200 down to $75 for that 2-visit initial consult. Okay. And Miss Heidi is here. She can go fire up the computer and get you scheduled, and that'll be great. Okay. So take advantage of that. Please keep coming to these workshops. It's free education. Who doesn't want to learn how to get better, right? You got to have tools in your belt. We have them every month, not necessarily in this building, but just follow our social media and you will learn. And this goes for the people that are watching online as well. Say hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up, and so you can. Okay, sure. Yes, it's called Inner Sense. It's called Inner Sense, and there's only one place here in town that you can get it, but you can order it online. Yes. Yes, there's also an app you can use called Think Dirty. You can download it to your phone, and then you can scan products in the store, and it'll tell you how disruptive they are, how toxic they are. But my salon uses Inner Sense. That's what I use. It's a professional line, but it's cleaner. So, yes, absolutely. They just have to call the office in the morning. If you could leave the phone number, that would be great. Okay, guys, thanks for coming. I appreciate you. What was your favorite part? Red meat, eggs, and butter. That's right. And you know, it may seem like, because eggs are so expensive right now, but if you eat that, you don't have to buy all the other crap. You're saving money on the other crap that isn't serving you well anyway. So you might as well spend money on good quality food that's going to nourish you. That's superfoods. I don't care. Eat as many as you want. Some days I eat 6. Some days I'll eat 3 in the morning and then 3 again for lunch.